Thank you. Representative Auchincloss.
Great hearing, Chairman. Thank you, and thank you to our witnesses. I'll co-sign my friend from Kentucky's statements about us not needing to mimic the ideology or tactics of the Chinese Communist Party to outcompete them. One of democracy and freedom's great ideological strengths is that it does not need to rely on propaganda to succeed. It wins in civil society on its own merits. And in free and fair elections this year, Taiwan demonstrated that leaders in the Chinese Communist Party see Taiwan as simply the largest and most organized dissident group in China, and they made many sophisticated attempts to sway voters through mis and disinformation throughout their campaign season. It didn't work. And we must learn from Taiwan's examples of resilience and build on them. Mr. Chiang, am I pronouncing that correctly? Yes. In your testimony, you recommend Congress support new circumvention technologies and decentralized AI tools through increased access to resources, research, and collaboration opportunities. As you set up the China Digital Times, what circumvention resources did you find most helpful?
Well, the circumvention grade firewall it actually doesn't require extraordinary high tech. There is plenty of those open source Chinese internet developers homemade tools that are serving the Chinese internet users' demand right now.
Are they readily available, though, to the average consumer of?
That is the difficult part because the Chinese authorities are cracking down on any spreading of the tools. In the same market, there's also the commercial VPN companies and the U.S. government-funded tools development, such as the Open Tech Fund.
Yeah.
The issue is really how to get those tools to the individual Chinese internet users at a scale,
so
which is then you're up against the Chinese authorities' repressive effort.
We need to get a whole app store inside the Great Firewall.
That we cannot. Even the Apple, those U.S. companies are taking VPN app down. And also, I added one more thing to the committee, that because there is actually a strong demand for those VPN circumvention tools, the Chinese government, in addition to Great Firewall, they develop their own VPNs and to give to a large, significant number of Chinese users, so the Chinese state can have monitoring the data and also putting another layer of filtering into those kind of Chinese VPNs.
I did not realize that. So it's state-supported VPNs that are, in fact, funneling that information right back to the Politburo.
Yes. For example, you use that. There's plenty of people using that state VPN. They can search on X, but they cannot access to Voice of America and the China Digital Times.
So, Mr. Cretchen, then, the Rapid Response Fund provides emergency support to independent media outlets, journalists, human rights defenders facing digital attacks, helps individuals and groups stay safe. How can the Open Technology Fund solicit for these kinds of support systems and help what Mr. Zhang is trying to do?
Yeah, it's absolutely a challenge and one that we're attempting to improve our tooling all the time. So as Shell said, it's incredibly important to have tools that meet the Chinese users where they are, because as you say, you can't just go to an app store and download them very easily now. We're trying to make sure that for the kinds of developers and human rights advocates who can access our funding, that's available and as kind of rapid and as secure as we can possibly make it. And then in terms of kind of trying to find ways to inject more secure technologies and solutions into ecosystems where Chinese users are already finding these solutions is really important.
You need viral adoption, though, right? This is fundamentally, this is a consumer technology, and so it's got to be virally adopted. And how do you create that viral flywheel through a repressive digital regime? I mean, has anybody cracked the code on that one?
Unfortunately, no one's cracked the code at scale, and I think part of what we're going to have to do is devolve that a little bit because, there's not going to be a silver bullet anymore, but what we can do is understand specific user groups within China who have specific use cases and needs and design tools for them, which will, allow us to fly a little bit more below the radar of a control system that's designed specifically to prevent virality.
Well, because and competition is going to induce the best product for what people want to use, right? You're going to get that feedback loop with the consumer.
Absolutely.
Final question, again for you, Mr. Cretchen. Technology at Scale Fund supports the large-scale circumvention and secure communication technology needs of the U.S. Agency for Global Media's broadcasting networks, including Radio Free Asia. Nearly all those satellites, though, are owned by only 25 companies worldwide, very few of which have open source technologies due to the extremely high cost of R&D, launch, long-term maintenance. Would it be helpful to have a federal challenge which allows federal agencies to pay only for success?
So the Certain Sustained Fund doesn't actually work with satellite technologies. It more runs VPN technologies. But effectively, that's how that fund functions for VPNs. It only pays for success. It offsets the user carrying costs of VPN users in highly restricted areas. So our partners come to us and say, oh, okay, this is how many users we were able to support, and here's your per user cost of those, and that's what we're reimbursing against. So effectively, that's what we're doing. We're incentivizing tools who can carry users in the hardest places.
Are you concerned at all about the concentration of satellite ownership? Is that something that we need to address?
So, I mean, it's certainly an issue that we have to pay close attention to. Like from the OTF perspective, it's not a technology we're able to piggyback on in China yet, but we're exploring it in a lot of other places, and how that market develops in China, and in fact, how chipsets evolve to see, like, if we don't need base stations, that sort of thing. Like, that will be an important thing to pay attention to, even though it's not operational today for us.
I hold back. Thank you for the indulgence, Chair.